Alright, so basically we were discussing about akhlaq, okay, or what we call as Islamic morality or Islamic ethics, okay. And in our previous discussion, if you still remember, we can recall a little bit, yeah, the content. We have discussed on the definition of akhlaq, okay. And I mentioned to you before, the definition of akhlaq in Islam is, completely different than definition of morality or ethics, as in comparison to other definition given by other religion or also given by other ideologies, for example. Okay, in Islam, the strength of akhlaq is always depending on the strength or the power of our soul. Okay, this is according to Imam Al-Ghazali. Imam Al-Ghazali said, if your inner soul is strong, then the goodness of your soul will be projected outside, and you will automatically behave in good manner. And that's why Imam Al-Ghazali said good akhlaq must be done spontaneously. Let's say, for example, when you see a rubbish, for example, a garbage, so you will just take it automatically and put it inside the dustbin without even thinking in the first place, according to Imam Al-Ghazali. Okay? And of course, in order to acquire that, you need constant practice and also training. Okay? And that's why later on, we also discuss about the impact of our soul. Okay? Remember, I give you one example of performing salat subuh on time, for example. For some people, it is very difficult for them to be awake on time for subuh prayer. For some other Muslim, for example, the good ones, it is always easy for them to be awake during subuh prayer on time. Okay, and if you try to study between the both of them, of course there are many other factors. But according to Imam Al-Ghazali in this book, okay, if you read Ihya Ulumuddin, it all depends on your on the strength of your soul. Some people, they go to gym every day, they can lift up dumbbell for 20 kg. Whenever they hear the azan, Salatu khairun minan naum, they cannot even lift up the blanket which is less than 1 kg. So they have no strength at all during that time. Whenever they see maksiat, they don't have any strength to avoid themselves from maksiat. Okay, whereas they are physically really powerful and strong. Okay, so this is the difference between the strength of soul, or the spiritual strength, and also the physical strength. Okay, so that's why what is the best way to acquire good akhlaq or to get good akhlaq is basically to train our soul to be strong. Okay, but of course, if you read in detail the book, okay, Imam Al-Ghazali, and also if you read, for example, the book of Imam Ibn Qayyim Al-Jawziyah, okay, there is one famous book, Al-Fawaid. Okay, it is written in Arabic, but I think it is not translated in English. But you can read what we call it. You can read the synopsis of the book, okay, somehow, okay, on the internet. So according to Imam Al-Jawzi, okay, there are 3 fundamental things that you must do if you really want to change, or if you want to acquire excellent personality or excellent characteristic. Okay, number 1, it always starts with readiness to change. This is very important. Okay, if you are not ready to change yourself, it doesn't matter what you do next, it's not going to work. Okay, if you read many books on akhlaq, it always starts with the readiness of change. Okay, or some other ulama use the word realization to change. Okay, so you must but in order to be ready to change, you must be able to recognize your weakness first. Okay, so that's why it is really important to recognize our weakness. Let's say, for example, we have one habit of what? Of not being punctual, for example. So we need to recognize our weakness first. Okay, so once we recognize the weakness and we recognize that it is a problem, so what we should do, we should try to overcome and be ready to change. But it must start with realization. Alright? Because some people, whenever they heard people give advice, for example, right? You have to do this, you have to do that. Sometimes people will just not accept that. Why? Because they do not recognize, or they do not acknowledge that they are having problems. So when we recognize that we have problems, of course, we will open our heart to advice and also what we call it, counseling, for example. Okay? So unless we open our heart, then we cannot accept any advice, and therefore change will never happen. Okay? Alright. And the second fundamental condition, according to Imam Ibn Qayyim Al-Jawziyah, is strong determination for change. So not just you You must be able to be ready, but you must be strong. You must have strong determination. Acquiring good akhlaq, or let's say for example, what we call it, reducing our sin. Because when you acquire good akhlaq, okay, you do taubat. Allah mention in the Quran, Allah will turn, or Allah will transform all your maksiat, all your sin to become your reward, your pahala. Okay, this is the promise of Allah. Okay, so in order to reducing our sin is like trying to lose some weight. You need strong determination. I'm talking to myself, You need strong determination. Okay, some people say that, okay, I'm going to go on diet, but somehow you are not strong, and then you will somehow break the rules of being on diet, and you will never reduce your weight. So the same thing with reducing our sin. Okay, we need strong determination. Okay, you need to be consistent all the time. Try to reduce your sin by doing taubat, so later on Allah will transform all your maksiat, all your sin to be your pahala, to be the reason for you to be in Jannah. Okay, alright. And number 3, the most important element is knowledge. Okay, al-ilm. Okay, if you look at the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay, before Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was appointed to be messenger of Allah, he was just a normal man. Of course, he was a man, but he was not common man. He was a very special man. Okay, because he was considered as al-amin even before he became a prophet. Okay, but somehow during the time of Prophet ﷺ, it was called as the time of Jahiliyah. Okay, and why it is called the time of Jahiliyah? Is it because those people were foolish? No, they had knowledge. Mecca was a very metropolitan city. Mecca was full with economic transaction, but Mecca had political system. They have the system of hierarchy and so on. Bani this, Bani Quraiza, and then Quraish and so on. So they have their political system and everything. So these people, they were not foolish. They had knowledge. But why they were called as Jahiliyah? It is because of their akhlaq. Okay, their akhlaq was very bad. Okay, they had the culture of killing the daughters. Okay, because they considered when you have daughters are considered as the bearers of misfortune. Okay, so they will kill the daughter, and then they have excessive entertainment or hedonism. Okay, so there were many bad or evil activities during that time. Okay, moral activities. Alright, so that's why these people were addressed as Jahiliyah by the Prophet. Okay, and there was one story where Prophet Muhammad SAW went to the cave of Hira, right? Why did he go there? Why did Prophet go to the cave of Hira?
Meditate.
Yes, Prophet was trying to meditate in order to do what? In order to find solution to the moral problems that are happening in the society. Because Prophet was very sad. Okay? Because Prophet, he witnessed a lot of maksiat happening in his society. So that's why he went to the cave of Hira. And of course, when we talk about wahyu, of course this is the ilham from Allah. This is the inspiration from Allah for him to go to the cave of Hira. Okay, but according to the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, he went to the cave of Hira in order to meditate, in order to find solution or answer to the moral problems that are happening in his society. And how did Allah give the answer? By giving him one word. What was the word? Iqra. And Iqra literally means to read, which means to acquire knowledge. So Allah is sending the message to the Prophet by reading, by acquiring knowledge, you can solve many moral problems. So that's why one of the best way of acquiring excellent personality is by having knowledge. Let's say, for example, when we talk about backbiting, for example, unless you know the definition of backbiting, you will never be able to avoid backbiting. What is backbiting? Is to speaking something true, but that person will dislike, and you speak about it in his absence. It is something true. When you say something bad, when you say something wrong, it is called fitnah. It is called fitnah, or they call it something an-namimah. It is called fitnah or buhtan. Okay, which means a slander. Yeah, because sometimes people give excuse, right? They say, I know it is wrong, but whatever I say is true, right? Yeah, when it is true, it is considered backbiting. There is one hadith of the Prophet SAW. Okay? One day, one woman came to the house of the Prophet SAW. Okay, and after this woman, has finished his conversation with the Prophet, and then she left, and then Aisha, actually, Aisha actually did one sign to the Prophet that indicate the woman was shocked. The woman was dwarf, was shocked. Okay? And the Prophet said, Aisha, you have backbitten this person. Aisha said, and then Aisha replied, but whatever I said was true. Rasulullah said, whenever you say it is true, it is called backbiting. Whenever you say it is not true, then it is fitnah. Okay? And the sin of fitnah is equivalent, the sin of backbiting is equivalent to eating it's not just the flesh, the dead body. The mayyitah, the carry on. Yeah, the dead body of your brother and sister. Yeah. Yes.
It's considered backbiting if you just mention about the height of the individual.
For what purpose?
Do you think if it's offensive, then it's backbiting, or if anything would be backbiting?
Actually, there are 6 conditions in which backbiting is allowed. Okay, but in one of the conditions, you identify that person. Let's say, for example, okay, there are many Firdaus in Brady Bunch, and someone came. They said, I would like to find Ustaz Firdaus. And then you say, which one? Which Firdaus? There are so many Firdaus here. Okay, and you say the ugly Firdaus, for example, which refers to me. Alright, I wouldn't like it. Okay, but you said that in order to identify me. Okay, and that one is allowed, it's permissible. But you have to stop to that point. You cannot after that address me as okay, in order to identify. Okay, and in another situation, whenever you are in trial, for example, okay, you are in a court, right? You are making a testimony to a judge. Of course, you have to tell bad things about the criminal, for example. So during that time, it is allowed. Okay, and another thing which is allowed is to speak the evil action of someone who is already known, very well known. For example, the evil action of Fir'aun. Whenever we learn about Fir'aun, we always backbite Fir'aun. Fir'aun was bad. He acknowledged himself to be God. He oppressed people. So we are actually backbiting Fir'aun. But this is the permissible backbiting. It is something well known. Okay, alright. So we can do that. Okay, alright. Good. Okay, so there are actually 6 situations in which backbiting is allowed. Okay, but we are going to discuss those conditions in detail when we arrive at the topic of backbiting. So, yeah, alright. So going back to the knowledge just now. Okay, so knowledge is the most important element if you want to change your character, or if you want to acquire excellent personality. Okay, so that's why you always have to learn and learn and learn. Okay, something interesting about knowledge. Okay, knowledge is not just to be learned from the book. Okay, but according to the research, the most effective knowledge is the knowledge that you heard or that you listen to. Okay, that's why if you read Al-Quran, many of the ayat in the Quran always highlight about hearing. Let's say, for example, the ayat that we recited in Al-Mas'urat just now. Okay, Sami'na wa ata'na. Sami'na, we heard and then we obey. Okay, so Al-Quran said, whenever you heard Prophet give you instruction, you obey. It's all about hearing. Okay, because believe it or not, many non-Muslim out there, they actually study Quran. They take Al-Quran and they read it. But not everybody obeys Al-Quran. The same thing with Muslim. Many Muslim, we read Al-Quran, But sometimes we disobey Al-Quran because we don't listen to the Quran. Okay, so that's why many scholars said that you need to attend the ta'lim session, you need to attend the tafsir session, you need to attend Usrah, so you can listen to the content of the Quran. So later on you can obey it. Okay, so that's why try to what we call it, inculcate the culture of attending the religious ceremony. So later on you can listen to it. Okay, not hearing lah. It must be listening. Because hear means something that you don't pay attention to. You just heard, right? But it's something that you listen, that you pay attention. Okay? Alright. Any question? No. Okay. Alright. And the best thing about knowledge, okay, it's not just when you get knowledge, you must practice knowledge. But there is another dimension of knowledge. Okay? According to ulama, if you really want to practice the knowledge that you get, the best way of doing it is by teaching that knowledge, by sharing the knowledge. So that's why in Islam, it is very important for everybody to be a murabbi. You understand the meaning of murabbi, right? Murabbi, coming from the word Rabb. Of course, Rabb refers to God, but murabbi also, the word Rabb also refers to the knowledge, because we have the word Rabb and then yarbi, and then we have tarbiyah coming from the word Rabb. So tarbiyah means education. So murabbi refers to educator. So it is very important for everybody to be a murabbi. Okay? Whenever I give my speech, I always highlight this story. Okay, this story actually happened to me. Yeah? When I was very, very young before, still a young boy, I really hate my school. I hated my school, really, seriously. I always refused to go to school. Every day before I go to school, I always create many excuses to my parents, saying that I have this, sickness, I'm not feeling good, I don't want to go to school, my teachers are bad, blah 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 blah. I always do that. Okay? Until one day, I actually met one of my teachers. And this teacher, this murabbi, has totally changed my perception towards school and education. So what happened from that day, I fall in love with my school, I fall in love with books and so on. So this is to show that, how can a murabbi impact your life?
What did he say?
Yeah?
What did he say to make you change your mind?
No, he didn't say anything actually. But his personality. He was very good. He was very patient. Okay, and he always motivated us. Okay, although this teacher is actually the teacher of only English teacher. Okay, during that time, because English, is one of the subjects that people hate during that time. I mean, especially me. Okay, during that time. Okay, all right. So what happened? But he was very patient towards everybody. Okay, whenever you didn't do something, let's say for example I didn't do my homework, he was never angry. He was always, trying to say, you should do this, it is good for you, blah 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 and blah blah. And he was very caring as well. So this teacher has totally changed my perception. Okay, and the best thing about this teacher, okay, although we are supposed to learn English, but he always gives tazkirah in our class, but in English. So we learn a lot from him. Okay? So if you ask me, what is the importance of murabbi? Murabbi can totally change your life. Yeah? Alright. And another important method, according to Imam Al-Ghazali, I just want to add this one. Yeah? Imam Al-Ghazali said, observing good people and associating yourself with them. Yeah? In Islam, what we call it, we always have to constantly improve ourselves. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said in one of his hadiths, Prophet said, a good Muslim is someone who is his today is better than his yesterday. Okay? And also in another hadith, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned, a good Muslim, will never fall in the same hole twice. Okay? Meaning to say, we will fall, but we will never fall in the same hole twice. We will always learn from from our mistake. Okay, but again, learning our mistake also needs knowledge. Okay, that's why there is one important doa that our Prophet has taught us. Okay, what is the doa? Allahumma hdina siratal mustaqim, siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim minan nabiyyin was-siddiqin wasyuhada was-salihin. In this doa, we make doa to Allah. Oh Allah, show us your straight path, the path like you have given to minan nabiyyin, the nabi, the prophet, was-siddiqin, the one who speak the truth, wasyuhada, the martyrs, was-salihin, and then the pious. So these are the four persons that Prophet asked us to emulate. We have to take them as our example. And the lowest level is as-salihin. So minan nabiyyin was-siddiqin wasyuhada was-salihin. So we at least have to be the soleh. You cannot be lower than soleh. Soleh is the lower part, the lowest part. Okay? If you lower than soleh, then there is no guidance there. Okay? But when you are at the level of soleh, you must always try to improve to the syuhada, to the siddiqin, and to the level of nabiyyin. Of course, we cannot be prophet, but we can always, emulate the character of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah? If you study what we call it, the many saying of Albert Einstein, one of his famous saying, he said, right, the definition of crazy. What is the definition of crazy? Someone who does the same thing again and again, but expecting different results. So if you want to improve from soleh to be syuhada, to be siddiqin, to be nabiyyin, you cannot do the same thing because you are expecting different results. I mean, that's the logic. So if you cannot do the same thing, you should do different thing, or you can do the same thing but in different level. Yeah, but the improvement must be constant. And according to the psychological research, the best way of acquiring excellent personality is by having good example. And Islam, or the Prophet ﷺ, has defined 4 good examples for us. Yeah, the Salihin, the Syuhada, the Siddiqin, and the Nabiyyin. Yeah, so the lowest one is Salihin. You cannot be lower than the Salihin. Okay? Allahu A'lam. Any question?
What's the definition of siddiqin?
Someone who speak the truth.
It's harder than being a shuhada.
Yes, it's harder. Syuhada refers to someone that dies, who dies on the way of truth. But the formula of dying on the path of Allah, it should begin with living on the path of Allah. Many people, they target only to die on the path of Allah. They forget to live on the path of Allah. Okay? And ulama say, if you don't live on the path of Allah, it is impossible for you to die on the path of Allah. Yeah? Because sometimes we see people like this, right? They don't do solat, but whenever they do some demonstration, oh, we want to die on the path of Allah. It's not going to happen. Yeah? And living on the path of Allah is of course harder than dying on His path.